Welcome to Nashville and Beyond.
I'm Brian Copeland.
And I'm Zach Copeland.
And we're a father-son duo helping people buy, sell, and thrive in Middle Tennessee.
But this isn't just about business. It's also about our family and our community.
It's a front row seat to how we live, work, and serve right here in Music City.
So buckle up as we explore Nashville and Beyond. Hello, all you lovers out there. Well, today's episode is, of course, going to be talking about the big holiday this week that's on everybody's mind. Some people call it Valentine's Day. I call it Singles Awareness Day.
And that's just being kind because we're considering including all people. That's not a rude thing. It's just inclusion.
It is. We're all about inclusion here on Nashville and Beyond. Well, today's episode is the one about Valentine's Day. We're talking love stories, dating stories, and how this day hits very differently depending on where you are in life.
Do you know Delilah, the radio DJ?
No, I know the song, Hey There, Delilah.
No, you're sounding like Delilah right now if you've ever listened to her radio show.
Okay.
She's all about love. We got requests coming in. It feels very Delilah, and I'm loving every second of it.
There's a TikTok person who's like, he's like my age, and he's like, I remember riding with my mom in the vehicle back in the 90s, and the radio station would come on, and he does this example of who Delilah is, and he does like voiceovers of her. So now that you say that, I get the reference.
You know
for
Delilah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, this holiday really depends on who you are and what season you're in life. So, for me, Valentine's Day is a different season because I've been a married old fart for 20-something years now. In fact, we celebrate 20 years in 3 weeks.
Wow.
It's very different now because and we talk a little bit later about how we met and everything. It kind of makes more sense about how we look at Valentine's Day.
Sure.
But for me, single person, I really didn't think a lot about Valentine's Day because when I was single, social media wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a big push on anything. It was just a different day. It was like Christmas was over. We had the cheap little Valentine cards come out in Target and Walmart, and that was about it. Now it's like everything with social media is a big deal.
Yeah. It's tough, especially now for me. It's Singles Awareness Day.
Yeah.
I've not had a Valentine on Valentine's Day in years.
You were so close.
I know I was so close. And if you're listening to this podcast, I told you I was going to talk about you, and it was supposed to be a different talk, but it is what it is now. So,
are we gonna leave people in the dark on that?
Well, yeah. I guess I could talk more about it for a little bit. As a single person, Valentine's Day feels I'm happy for everyone out there who's in a relationship. Don't get me wrong. I love love, and I love that you all experience love and receive love and give love. And I experience love and receive love and give love in a different way. I don't have a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever you think I have in your head, what fantasy you want to portray, that's fine. But I am looking for a man in finance, 6'4", tall, blue eyes, blonde hair, preferably a quarterback build, or if you're a Latino recently out of prison, also interested in that as well. So
we'll put in the show notes the picture you showed me today of your perfect man.
Yeah. So there was this guy that I had was talking to. We met actually on like December 21st. And things kind of progressed pretty quickly, but there was chemistry and connection, and then recently he just reached out and was like, hey, I realized that a relationship is going to be work, and that's not a bad thing. It's just not something I'm interested in. And it was a very it's not you, it's me kind of conversation, and I received that because I know it's not me, because I'm great. I'm a catch. Who wouldn't want this? But yeah, shout out to you if you're listening. I hope you find love, and I hope they're half as good as I am. So.
No, I've learned how to stay out of your love life, because I've always, it's any parent. Like I think about, I was on a walk the other day and literally started bawling my eyes out praying for Micah's future spouse and for Esther's future spouse, because I believe that, they're out there. All of y'all's spouses are out there, and it's my job to love them right now, although I don't know them. Yeah. And so when I think about you, I'm like, it's hard for me to stay out of your love life because I want your happiness, and I know so many people. And then like I'll see someone, I'm like, oh, they're single, oh, they're cute, and then I'll show you a picture, like, no, not my type.
Yep.
Not enough tattoos or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I've just been like, and I'll go to the gym, and I'll be like, oh, I think Zach would like that guy, and I'm usually right, but I know that if I were to mention it, you'd be like, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, so
Well.
I'm just always careful about getting in that zone with you. So.
And you had mentioned earlier there was no social media when you were in the dating scene.
Yeah.
And I think, I have received advice from you and from Dad, a lot from Dad on dating, because he and I have, breakfast or lunch every Thursday.
Yeah.
And we've talked about dating and what that looks like and how to get myself out there more. And, he comes from a time when you wrote letters to someone that you were in. I'm making it sound like he's from the 1800s, but that's the kind of time that he came from, where you would pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody on a landline.
Yeah.
Or you would write them a sweet letter, or you would take them out to a drive-in theater. And while those are all still things that can happen today, the pace of dating is so fast.
Yeah.
Because of social media, specifically the apps. And I use quotation marks when I say the apps, because if you're a listener out there and you are single in today's world, then you know what I'm talking about. And it's not just the gay dating apps or the straight dating apps. It's all of them. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Grindr, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Hinge, Bumble, all of these different apps that you have this pressure to put a profile up there and put on, your best self and put your best foot forward. And you start, swiping through all the matches. And, I prefer Tinder because you can't connect with someone unless they also swipe right on you.
Okay.
There's a lot of other apps out there where just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can send you a message, and they're not often appropriate. And so
thus Tom, Dick,
Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Harry's, I won't say that, never mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, with Tinder, there's obviously a mutual interest that sparks the conversation. But without that, you're not going to have, that safety on some of these other apps where you can receive messages and images and things that are maybe not as appropriate and that we won't, talk about in detail here. But if you know, So.
Well, it's funny because I remember the first time you showed me, it was recently, your singles profile on some of these websites. I was like, I took all these pictures. It was kind of a shocker.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I was amazed. There was one picture, you're at the Accordion Society, and it's a picture I took, and I almost deleted it because I was like, he won't like his picture because he won't like his posture in it. And I was like, you used that photo, and you're like, yeah, I like the way it makes me look real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then there's some photos that we've taken of you in my studio. There's one I love of you of Micah and you holding you're holding my camera. You didn't use that one, but it's all my all-time favorites of you.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a compliment to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm actually helping to reflect the true accuracy, because you're real big. Like when you look at your pictures that you've shown me, they're you. They look like you. They're not over AI'd. They're not overly, it wasn't just a good angle that I got. It was, it actually looks like you. And some aren't the most flattering in my opinion, but like the one of the Accordion Society, but you were like, it looks like me. So
exactly. So before we get too deep into modern dating, because we are going to talk about that later, let's talk about our family's original love story. Let's talk about how you and Dad met. Let's hear how this actually worked out.
Yeah, and it merges right into Valentine's Day because Greg had been married to the original person he founded the church with, Ken, and he got that call, knock on the door that everyone dreads, that Ken was in a car accident and passed away, unfortunately. So Greg went through like over a year of mourning. He wore black every single day. And it was roughly just before Valentine's Day, around February the 1st of 2005. And I was in a car accident with some friends of mine, one named Jeremy Ryan, who's a local photographer who did our podcast art, all that stuff.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy. And I was the driver. We were going between a place in downtown and a place on Church Street. And this, little red Altima is coming off that Church Street exit and doesn't understand that it's a stoplight and just nails us, sends us tumbling. I actually sent you a picture of the car last week, you and Dad both, just kind of as a reminder. We spent the night in the hospital that night, and then the next day Jeremy was like, let's all go to church next weekend. I'm in this play. So I go to the church, and Greg's there, and we meet, and then I ask him out. Valentine's Day is that Monday night. Church is the next day. It was a Saturday night play we went to, and so after church I was like, hey, can I take you out to dinner on Valentine's night? He goes, no, I already have a date. And so I called him on Valentine's Day, and I said, today is not Valentine's Day for you. Tomorrow night when we have our date is Valentine's Day, and I hope on your date tonight you're miserable and all you do is think about me the entire time. And he joked and said that's all he did do. He thought about me the whole time. And then we had our first date on February the 15th, and that night someone broke into the church. We had a church over on Old Hickory Boulevard, and we were all dressed up. I was in a suit. We were at Margot in East Nashville, where we still celebrate Valentine's Day. And he's like, the alarm's going off at the church. Do you mind if we go? And I was like, absolutely. So we get up there, and we can see that the window's broken in. Someone had crawled through the kitchen window, and I went into protection mode, and at that point he says he remembers. He's like, that's the person I'm going to be with, because I was in that protection mode. So, we had our first date on February the 15th, and then we were married the following, not that March, but the next March, on March 6th. So Valentine's Day, while it's on February 14th, we usually celebrate on the 15th, and then our anniversary's on March the 4th.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So that's our OG story, and what's made us last is we just got along really well. I broke up with him originally, and it's like, I just don't want this kind of relationship. But it was just a very honest relationship, because you don't have to change anything. Just be who you are. I don't expect anything out of you. You just continue to live your life, and then we'll see where it lands us in a year, if we've merged together or not. And that's what we did. And it's just a constant, honest communication, as cliche as that sounds. It just really works for us. We really didn't fight, honestly, until we had kids.
Yeah.
We never fought. But you little MFers, y'all make us look on your face.
Me?
All of y'all.
Angel.
I know. Yeah, because you weren't. No, seriously. When Esther and Micah came along, that's when we started fighting.
Yeah.
It was just like, are you kidding me?
That makes sense.
We hadn't fought any, and then the kids come around, and we just start to argue about everything.
It makes sense.
So anyway, so now about you, what's your love story?
Well, I don't have a love story.
No.
I want to talk. So, the world's worst church play.
Oh,
that is how.
So we're not gonna talk about you right now, right?
We'll get to me.
Got it.
We'll
Okay,
get to me
clear.
and my problems. The world's worst church play. That's what Dad describes the play that you and him met at, right?
Yeah.
What made it the world's worst church play?
We were in those victimage modes of gay narratives that were just victim. And the play was written by someone at the church who wasn't a playwright, who know the people were really actors in it. And it was just,
hokey.
I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
It was just really, really bad. And I think Greg was just embarrassed, because that was my first exposure to the church and seeing the quality that the church does.
Yeah.
So yeah, he consistently says it was the world's worst play. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things about y'all that I really love is, people talk about yin yang couples. How there is one who does this and one who does that. And y'all truly fit together like a puzzle piece. Even before I was a part of the family, I knew you, and I hung out with y'all and recognized some of the different character traits and behavior traits in you. And we've talked about in the past microwave versus crock pot.
Yeah.
And that really is a great way to describe the dynamic of you and Dad's relationship, I think, from looking at it from the outside, is that, when it's time to make decisions of pretty much anything, you're very much a microwave. You're like, this is what we're doing. This is when we're doing it. You're also a very organized and planned out kind of person. You like knowing exactly the start and stop times of things. Like when we go on family vacations, it's an itinerary and it's very clear what the schedule is and when there's free time. And with Dad, it's the exact opposite. You know, he is, as we've said, long suffering.
Yep.
He can take someone treating him badly for a very, very long time, or not listening.
I don't treat him badly,
right?
just
and,
for the record.
Not you. People out in the world,
right?
Treating him badly for a very long time. He will tolerate it. He has such grace, and he just treats everybody with this level of compassion and dignity that is truly a gift of his. And that's not to say that you don't treat people well. It's just the level at which he does it.
I don't have the patience he
is
has.
a gift that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And there are not many people in the world that have the gift of compassion like he has.
No.
And it's really a beautiful thing to see. And especially, I think, I have obviously been in the back half of my life, like I've only, in the last 3 years of my life, right? In the last 3 years of my life, 4 years, maybe, 6 almost at this point, yeah, because I've known y'all for 6 years now. It's crazy, and it feels like a lifetime. But I have been able to pick up things from each of you. You've made me a better planner and organizer and scheduler and public speaker, and you're really good about making sure that there are deliverables, and I've picked that up from you. And then on the other hand, with Dad, I've learned what it's like to actually minister to people, and what it looks like to be in a ministry position or role, and how you have to start thinking about what you want the world to look like, or not even the world, your community, your tribe. You have to start thinking about how you want them to be in 5 years. And the next day, tomorrow, you've got to start doing things that are going to slowly but surely guide them in that direction. And Dad is so good at that.
He is.
You are very diet-driven, exercise-driven, health-conscious and driven, and Dad is not.
No.
He is more butter, more salt, more sugar, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And he is very...
He'll outlive us both.
He'll outlive all of us.
Uh-huh.
He'll
be 120 and be like, "Hey, y'all," and we died 40 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I've learned about watching your relationship. What do you think is something that makes your relationship with Dad sustainable?
Yeah.
Because there's been give and take from both of you.
Yeah, I think relationships are hard just in general.
Yeah.
Because there is so much that you have to sacrifice of yourself. And I've always, the family I was raised in, we always sacrificed ourselves over others. And then entering a ministry and being a pastor's quote unquote wife, a preacher's wife.
Yeah, you're the first lady.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of responsibility there. So honestly, the sustainability starts with the compatibility at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Those values have got to be in place.
Yeah.
This is the talk you and I had about when you went through what you went recently, and this Valentine's Day episode is different for you, is because there were some compatibility differences there, and you have been so clear about these are the values I have. And when you and I and Dad have been talking through what you're looking for, your non-negotiables are, I want someone who understands I am a minister, and when they marry me or date me, it comes with the territory. 2, someone understands that my household and where I live is my safe space.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of unsafe areas in my life, and this is a safe spot for me. 3, you value your bedroom and where you sleep. 4, you value your poop, which we talked about in another episode. Here's all these things that are core to who you are.
Yeah.
And Greg and I started off just like you love Legos. We were Lego pieces. We just kind of like, okay, we both were raised. We knew we go down the road, and he's tone deaf, can't sing a lick. But we would put on Southern gospel radio, and we'd start singing at the top of our lungs. He'd know every single song I do. We'd start singing Dottie Rambo songs and start giggling. And then all the idioms that come with being raised in church, we both had. And so it goes back. I can't say what works now, because it's not changed.
Yeah.
It's the fact that our Lego pieces were so engineered properly that when we first got together, it's like, this just works.
Yeah.
And, we're going to die together. I mean, we, as many differences as we have, we just work through them, and it just works. So then there's dating, and, now there's dating in your days now.
Yeah.
So this feels like a completely different universe.
Yeah, it does. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but the apps obviously is a huge deal. And I think it's not even so much the apps as it is, there's this phrase that got popular in maybe the late 20s, the 20s and the early 2010s, called FOMO, fear of missing out. And for those of you who live and date in the modern world, you understand that with the strains of the modern world, everyone is afraid that they're going to miss out on something better than you.
Yeah.
And so there is this hesitancy to stay off of the apps, because what if the man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams is that next profile that I didn't swipe on because I deleted the app to settle down with somebody that I'm not 100% comfortable with? And that really has dictated a lot of my dating experiences. I have dated people that I found out months into the relationship they were still sexting other people. They were still flirting with other people digitally, not calling them and not going out and seeing them in person, but sending them inappropriate messages. Conversations with emojis, which again, this is so modern. Emojis that would indicate a level of flirtatiousness.
Right.
Everybody knows the kissy face emoji. Everybody knows the purple devil emoji with the horns. Obviously, you've got the aubergine eggplant emoji. You've got the water spark droplets emoji. There's all these different emojis that younger people have started to.
They're sexualized.
Yeah, they're sexualized. Yeah. And, it's not to say that, they weren't designed to be that way, because they absolutely were. But this concept of, I am not going to close off any of these other chapters, because if this doesn't work out, I need to have a backup that I can go to. And so what that does is it never allows anyone to fully invest in the now and in the present relationship that they're in. The situation I went through recently, was we basically had a conversation where, there was a big ice storm that came through Nashville. And when this ice storm was on its way in, I take weather very seriously.
Very, very seriously.
Very seriously.
Back to those core values.
Yeah, weather is something that I take very seriously. And I don't even know where it comes from, but I have experienced and lived through some pretty intense weather and storms. Whether it was growing up when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, there was a tornado that went through the town in Arkansas that I grew up in, and miraculously the tornado jumped over all of our houses and stayed in the air and then landed behind our houses and kept going. But hearing the windows shake and the roar, like a train roar coming through over the house, terrified me. I've lived through ice storms before back in Arkansas where I grew up. When I was working on ships, I've been through hurricanes on a cruise ship. And when you're trying to go to sleep at night and the front of the ship is bouncing up and down 30, 40, 50 feet in the air and crash landing into these waves, and you wake up the next morning and there is sand from the ocean floor up on the top of the cruise ship. There's just a lot of things that I've experienced. But anyways, I say all that to say that's probably where my weather fear comes from. But I told this individual, hey, there's a big ice storm coming in. I want to make sure that you're safe, that you stay warm, that you're prepared. And they didn't take it seriously at all. And it bothered me. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, the appropriate response is, thanks for caring about me. I appreciate that you care about me. And so they called me and said those things to me. Thanks for caring. I appreciate that you care about me. And then 9 more minutes of the phone call was them basically belittling and laughing and demeaning that I was taking something seriously. And so I told them, after we got off the phone, I sent them a text and I was like, hey, I know you probably didn't mean for that conversation to come off the way that it did, but this is how I felt. This is how that was received. And, you know, I get that you don't have a lot of things in your life that you are responsible for. And this is why I was telling you I felt like I was too harsh in my response to them.
Yeah.
Because I can see how they felt like, oh, he's saying I don't have anything and I'm not worth anything. But the properties that you have listed as a realtor, when there's a storm that comes through, you have to be concerned.
Yeah, we got no showings during that ice storm.
Not only is it there's no showings,
it hurts the sellers, it hurts everybody.
What if the property's damaged?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the contract's dead because there was damage to the property or it's delayed. You know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And so I explained it to them and I didn't hear back from them. And then a few days later they called and they were like, yeah, this is not going to work out. I feel like this is going to take more work than I'm interested in doing. And they said something that really, I don't think I even told you this. They said, I feel like I'm being parented. And I thought, oh, God, that's not good. Because I've been in that situation before when I first lived down the street and in that long relationship. But, you know, there's another concept of ghosting.
I was going to ask you about that because that was something, I mean, ghosting is so prevalent in your life right now. It seems like, and this is why I just don't understand. It's like I'm sitting in the front row of your life and I see what you're doing and doing everything right, and then boom, the people just disappear.
Yeah, they do. So ghosting is a phrase that's pretty new. I'd say it's maybe 10 years old, and it is basically when someone that you know or you have a relationship with or you're friends with blocks you everywhere on everything and stops responding. And I've been the recipient of that many times, and it is a cheap way out. And again, it's a modern problem because back in the 19
you had the phone number
whatever, you would only be interacting with people who you knew in person, and it would not be possible for them to ghost you because they would be at your workplace or they would be at your church or they would be in your community.
A good stalker.
Yeah. So here in the modern world, you don't have that flexibility because one of the people that's ghosted me, lived on the other side of town, and the only time we would ever see each other would be at a bar, and they knew I didn't go out to the bars a lot. So instead of them saying, hey, this is, I really enjoy spending time with you, this is just not something I'm interested in pursuing further, let's be friends, it was, I'm sending them texts. They're not blue texts now, they're green texts because they blocked me. And yeah, it sucks, and it makes you feel awful, like you've done something wrong.
Yeah, and looking from the outside in now, excuse me, I'm so glad. Like, if I'm in a situation where, like, the other night I had to go to a party and I went by myself for work, and I was like, I'm so glad I'm not single. This would be miserable. Mm-hmm. And looking from the outside, what you go through, and because you while you're young, you're an old soul.
Very.
You love technology, but you're still an old soul.
Uh-huh.
And I look at everything you go through, and there's times where I've actually looked at you and said, "This isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
You've not done anything wrong here." I've heard the stories. I've seen the interactions. We've had talks about sometimes you've had talks via text that should be in person.
Yeah.
But you've even changed that.
Yeah.
You actually told somebody, you're like, hey, let's talk about this on the phone if you want to, and they said yes, let's do that.
Uh-huh.
So those are things you've evolved with. But sitting outside the window looking in on this, I just don't know how y'all do it.
Mm-hmm.
I look at I look at the guys at your age group, and again, sorry, this is so judgmental. It seems like no one's got their life together.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're sitting here, you've always said, I don't feel like I've got everything together like I should have. And then you're comparing you to everybody else who's even your age or older, and you're like, oh my gosh, I do have my act together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a different realm right now where we're at. So, and it's just, it makes everybody just really super vulnerable right now.
Yeah, it does. But let's take a turn and let's make this practical. Let's talk about if you are going on a date, where you can go in Nashville, because Nashville is it's a great date city. There's so many places to meet up with people and have fun. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I am real big about environments and where you go and that brand of how it feels. So, on our first date, when Greg and I first went out, we went to Scarrett Bennett, which is on Vanderbilt's campus. It's a theology place. It looks like Hogwarts. We didn't have Hogwarts. We didn't have Hogwarts back then, but we went over there and we just sat on the grass and just talked outside there. And then we went over to Bicentennial Park, just north of downtown in Germantown, and they play the Tennessee Waltz on the hour in the TriStar. And we stood out there and listened to the Tennessee Waltz and danced under the stars to the Tennessee Waltz. And so there's all these beautiful places like the Parthenon over at Centennial Park. There's just places that are free. And that's what I love about dating in Nashville. You don't have to spend money to have a magical night. I remember there was a date that you had where you just got back the pickup truck and y'all just went and look at the stars. And it's just there's so much beauty around here that you can, Radnor Lake, if you want to go hiking, if you want to go to the greenways and spend time together. That's what I always say. It's just you don't have to spend money to date in Nashville. But then there's the places that if you really want something, a nice, fancy date. Unfortunately, our very favorite nice place to go, Margot, is closing this summer. We'll have our very last, because we've spent Valentine's Day there every year because that was our first date. But Margot has had a wonderful business here and she's ready to retire it. So if you can get to Margot before June, please do. We love the classic restaurants in Nashville. There's lots of new places that pop up all the time, like June and Audrey, and the ones you see on the Michelin list all the time. They're just not my favorite. I don't need something to look fancy. I want it to be good food, and I want it to be substantial. And I look at places like Margot. I look at places like Germantown Cafe. Great places to go for dates. And then you've got the fast places that are more casual. Pharmacy Burger over in East Nashville. What's the Italian place?
Mangia.
Mangia, it was spectacular. But there was a place that you went out off of Charlotte Pike.
Penne Pizza.
Penne Pizza. That's it. Those kind of casual places. I wouldn't consider Maggia. It's casual, but that's more of an event kind of date place. Where we went after Micah's concert the other night, Bella Napoli over in Edgehill Village. Those are just, and you walk in there and it feels like you're entering some little New York alley. It's just a great little date experience. And then there's just, we talked about the nature piece of it. Nashville has so many natural places to go. And then there's, and we have another episode coming up on venues and concerts and all that stuff. And I'm not a big coffee drinker, but there's all kinds of great little shops to go with, whether it be Barista Parlor, Madtown Coffee that's here,
Frothy Monkey,
Bongo Java, and then what was the Thai place? Is it Thai place over in Riverside Village you love so much?
Bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah, and what's the place I said sounded like a...
Oh, Muchachos.
Muchachos.
Muchacho.
Muchacho.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of places, yeah.
And, I am the opposite. I like to meet, if possible, I like to meet at a bar, just because it's a casual environment. I love to meet at Canvas.
I know why you like meeting there, because you sing. And,
and it's always fun to impress a date with a good karaoke song, and without fail, it works every time.
And they start batting their eyes, going, "Oh,
they do.
He's talented."
But I've had great dates. I've had awful dates.
Oh, that's a good conversation.
Yeah, I've had dates that one time I went on a date with this guy to a Predators game, which was a lot of fun. I've had dates where I've gone to go see a movie with somebody and they apparently were not interested in the movie at all and just thought it would be a cool place to
get frisky.
And that's not my scene. PDA to an extent is fine with me, but like it was not something I was very comfortable with. I'm not big on the let's just go for a walk. Or because what if you don't like the person?
Yeah. And
you don't find out until you're 3 miles down the park. Now you've got to walk 3 miles back with this person, and you don't like them, and they're not good at conversation. I've had people that I've dated that were great conversationalists, and other people that were, an inch deep and a mile wide. and it was hard to get any kind of substance out of them or any like signs of intelligence or life at all. But yeah, there's lots of places in Nashville that are good for dates. I love Rivergate Skate Center. Would make a great, wonderful date night, as long as the person also knows how to skate. Yeah. There's ice rinks around here.
There's that all-you-can-play arcade down in Smyrna. And it's just a big arcade that's just all these classic games. I took someone down there on a little date. They were younger, and I was trying to give them some chaperoning, and they just had a good little time there. Now you've got the new Tiger Wood putt-putt place down in Antioch, which looks super cool, across from In-N-Out Burger. So that looks like a great date place. Again, places we don't get to go now. Top Golf you love. Yeah. Again, these are, stereotypical places, but they're just good. You always have great dates at Top Golf. Anytime you go, you have a good time.
And White Castle's taking reservations, too, for Valentine's Day.
Which is so crazy to me.
It's strange, but
Yeah, and on that, we'll talk about Rather. So let's have our segment now of Nashville Rathers.
Awesome.
That'd be great.
So would you rather have a fancy dinner
or White Castle?
Or a White Castle casual hang?
When it comes to a date, I like my fancy dinner, and I know that locks you in, but it makes longer conversation. I don't want my first date to be over a burger or at Joyland Burgers. I want to have something that's going to sit down and feel really good. I think I know the answer for you, but go ahead.
It's casual.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's casual for me. I think there's a lot of pressure around, especially for a first date, the pressure of, we're eating at this very fancy restaurant, and can I pronounce anything on the menu? Do I know what this is? Do I need to get dressed up? Oh my gosh, they're spending all this money on me. What's the expectation like at the end of the night? All those kind of questions. So for me, it's about the casual hang.
Okay, Valentine's Day, flowers or chocolate?
Flowers. Flowers mean a lot to me. As much as I love chocolate,
that's right.
I'm a much more bigger fan of gardening and flowers. So yeah, flowers for me. For you, is it chocolate?
100% flowers.
Okay.
I made it a weekly thing, and I should really bring it back, but I would have fresh flowers for Greg every single week. We kept them there. You were talking about always having the little vanilla cake. We had vanilla cake, and we have flowers every single time.
Nice.
I just think there's something special about fresh flowers, the life they bring. I just absolutely love.
So are you familiar with the love languages?
I am.
What are your love languages?
Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting that question. My love language to receive.
Yes.
Because I think there's to receive is for someone to truly take care of my needs.
Okay.
Because my love language is always taking care of others. That is my love language. You see that.
So acts of service.
But when someone it doesn't have to be a fully serving me. It's just those little bitty things to say, I'm looking out for you.
Okay.
That makes me feel great.
Yeah.
What's yours?
For me, my love languages to receive are physical touch and words of affirmation. And I think what I give really well is also words of affirmation, and I think acts of service I give really well as well. I like doing things for people and figuring out if there's pain points, how I can help them with those pain points. Would you rather have, on that note, a big romantic gesture, or would you rather have a small, thoughtful gesture?
Oh, gosh. I really like small, thoughtful things. I'm a moments guy. I love making big moments for people, but that's what I love giving. But I love receiving just those little tiny things, and that's where I truly feel loved. And it can be as simple as getting a door for me, or someone,
getting Winnie the Pooh merchandise from Old Time Pottery.
Just those little tiny things. Exactly, my little sponges I have. Yeah.
Well, Valentine's Day hits very differently depending on where you are in life, what you're going through, what you're dealing with, if you're a single person or if you're in a relationship. And I think this episode has been pretty insightful when it comes to what modern day dating is like versus what it's like living as someone who's in a long-term relationship. So.
Yeah. I again, as I said earlier, I never want to go back. I love being in a relationship. It's hard around these time of the year to be around people. Some of our closest people are single in our life. And it's tough being in love and having a great relationship and a healthy relationship when other people don't have that. And so I'm overly sensitive about that, because I'm even sensitive around Mother's Day, about people who don't have children. I'm sensitive about everything. And so when it comes to Valentine's Day, I get super sensitive about people's relationship status.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you love Valentine's Day, we're here with you. And if you hate Valentine's Day, we're also here with you.
and from Nashville and beyond, happy Valentine's Day. We love you. Goodbye. Bye.
This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice. Listeners should always consult licensed professionals for guidance specific to their situation. Brian and Zach Copeland are licensed real estate agents with Compass 615-522-5100. Music Dusty Boots by Eco Eats, Nashville and Beyond, copyright 2026.